The ideas that gave birth to our nation are the ideas that our nation is resistant to right now, and we should talk about that all the time.
In a world where narratives are shaped by corporations and gatekeepers, independent voices matter more than ever. Badlands Media brings together citizen journalists, researchers, and independent thinkers.
The truth is triggering.
Question the narrative. Explore the facts.
It's authenticity, courage, resilience.
Search for the truth others won't.
It's not about being first or being right.
Do all possible combos. Left hand, right hand.
They always move the drum.
Ceremonial at ease.
Great time.
Colors are orange and
It does go, but
oh, that's cool. You pay a lot of people pay extra.
let's theme it.
There's the pictures of it.
Yeah.
Can't say that
You just kind of choose some blind.
I mean,
But it does go.
You've got time to hold the battery in.
There you go. It's gone now. I just turn it off and on.
Sounds like a Nikon phone.
Oh, Nikon. Did Josh?
I was on Sony
Where?
for a long time, yeah, when I was at PA, the press. But, yeah, I moved jobs a couple of years ago and had no choice. Well, I used to do it, so actually it's quite nice going back. Sony. I always just find in the rain, and they would start playing out like the battery grip, it would start erroring the message to get it's that not compatible message, and that's
That eliminates the problem.
Because the way the one that they used to have.
yeah, and you lose it very easily.
And it might keep dust on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just put it on there. You just stop building. You can download that.
You gotta turn your light on for this thing?
Yeah, another story.
UK flag's upside down.
Fresno or some guy on the internet. I just watch a video. My son's can't be in it.
Why is it here and not the south? Sorry. North Portico. I guess because the special entrance. Yeah, the guest entrance now has to be there.
Then I have to go to.
Saturday on Bookseller Street.
Yeah, it is weird. It's weird.
Yeah, I'll have a look.
It's just crazy. It's like it's
Audio.
But what kind of bird?
There's a Jim Watson.
Watson doesn't do bird calls. She doesn't just like there you go.
But then I see colleagues going up.
Remember that time we saw like Joe Biden's dog here for that? Saw his dog like up in the
Oh, on
Yeah.
the Truman balcony?
yeah, but that was when people like
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What's that dog? What's that dog's name?
yeah.
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
She had some bad moments last night.
What would you mean fears? Like
Well,
she's a puppy, right? So a bite or is she aggressive?
yeah, this was the moment she'll take a sock or a shoe. She'll lunge to bite you.
Oh, it's
She's got real teeth now.
yeah, well,
Well, she's going to spend some more time with the trainer and try to cipher that out.
Sure, it'll she'll grow out of it.
Yeah.
like when there is no now.
Gabapentin.
That's exactly right. Daisy got it.
What are you on go? You know what? They've been a mess. Some people last week.
You probably would want to get like another dog too.
Yeah, she's going to get that dog.
I do guys do.
Some borderline cases. Some even
You have to have like 3 months ready for it. You've been
Am I okay here?
Yes, sir.
If I'm like this, I'm okay.
have you been
I'd like to see you do that again.
doing
Do what? What I do?
Move.
What minute?
Yes.
Trying to back up a little bit on the stool. I've been-
oh you taking her to a daycare?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a trainer guy can take me out.
Oh.
And partially daycare.
And then but when you come out, yeah. Bus is good. What does he say about her?
He took some videos when I first got her.
Hey. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So it sent the
So
video.
I think I should put this out as where it's
Is speed dial bourbon?
I think it's a rock. See that on rock. That's
So now it's a Daniel.
that's it. That's fun.
I was trying to send that. Oh well, usually you could maybe add it, but I don't know if it would like lock in. It's not. Oh, you maybe if you got it on. Oh yeah. Somewhere I've never been before. You have to go directly to your next.
That's him. There he is.
Oh, probably your chart. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
It's so funny because it's really just
Very shiny.
Those are Louboutins. Christian Louboutins. Men.
Oh, yeah, no. Really? What's Oh yeah, we'll see. Honor, go. Attention.
What's like your percentage of like horror family? Ceremonial at ease.
I get to hear it.
Yeah, that's right.
You did. You did. You know, if you want, I can chip in a buck or two and get you
I think I saw my colleague named Jason Howard.
Yeah.
He did a cool thing.
Yeah, I was at a pretty
Fancy
simple
shoes.
like simple food.
Oh my God.
Oh wow, yeah. They just,
I told you there's
it
Louboutins.
was just like a sweet, like, you all right?
I see that was
It looks like
He's won them before.
almost like
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
in the
Louboutins.
his wife.
I was the former golfer.
He never married.
Yeah.
Get unmarried from. Yeah. But he was just like, yeah, she. She got Paris.
yeah.
He told the press that.
How long have you
Yeah, then to carry on to do it all the tours. I never went
Oh, what? Work with like man on the phone.
You're in the noise.
Came here once. I know, I guess probably this is where we're working there. Because I know Reuters was sending a lot of internet stuff.
It wasn't even
Yeah. Oh, but you're
Hi. I can't.
Oh yeah, they went to
I wouldn't advise. I wouldn't advise. Bump that head on TV camera. They'd be crazy.
Yeah. I'm good at helping. Oh, really? Yeah. I got a draft to help me.
So that's the reason.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, Weatherby. He was in those houses. He had to come from one to the other. Yeah, and he had like a tinsel on a coat hanger. I didn't do that. Yeah.
Make promises you can't keep.
Yeah.
Someone's
He does stuff on Timbers. He's a month ahead.
I'm like, yeah, I agree. Absolutely right. That's someone that could be there.
Yeah, just be positive. Just say be positive. Yeah, I've been to Windsor anyway.
back for the more kitchen.
I don't want to be sent out. Yeah. I want to see her here. Is that what the best is? This is so nice.
It's the whole thing, huh? You have another picture?
That was a good time to fish.
Yeah. Can move those and exclusively with them with the
Carried up, I see this.
Honor, guard. Attention.
Nearly froze to death.
I would lose sticks.
Hey, you look so nice. You wearing a dress? But you look so wonderful doing.
Agreed. Agreed.
This is a vibe.
Yeah, exactly. It takes longer. That's all. Yeah, I know.
Oh, really? She makes it look the color.
Yeah, it's just messy.
So we can reimburse the clients.
Or the deal.
Yeah.
That's so silly. Never I have a drone, even though I haven't used it in a while, but I want to try and practice with it more. Oh, you have to leave. Way out.
Yeah, it's on up there.
Oh, really?
That ain't fuck.
It's not news, it's on home.
It's really nice.
I'm a big fan of the show.
Where's it set?
I want to say, I was in New York. Yeah. But I can't remember which. But, and then the big joke was that nobody does. Nobody does.
I wouldn't object to that. And we have another structure. Unless it sticks out.
Yeah. Well, the Sony charger.
It comes from we did it. Exactly.
Like the generic ones that, out of its
Perhaps.
Oh,
maybe like the one
is it a reality?
Yeah, or it's like a,
hear those pipes.
Oh, cool. I'll check it out.
great speech. I was very jealous. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Order. Oh. Ready, face. Port on. Forward. One. Here. Back. Right. Right.
Standard.
You still hot? Can I stand up? So you're not down. I'll stay. Watch the band. Get a band come. Because one's over. Agreed.
I'm gonna get him on the dirt or on the road.
No.
made a great speech. I was very jealous. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Order. Oh. Ready, face. Port on. Forward. Mark. Right. Right.
Standard.
You're still hot. You're not stand up. So you're not. Oh, God, I'll stay. Watch the band. Get a band come. Runs over. I agree.
Doesn't want to get around the dirt or on the road.
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, and First Lady Melania Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem of the United Kingdom, followed by the national anthem of the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Thank you very much, everybody. What a beautiful British day this is. And it really is. Your Majesties, members of the British delegation, friends, service members, and distinguished guests, welcome to the beautiful White House. Great honor to have you. Melania and I will never forget the spectacular honor Your Majesties showed us during our extraordinary visit to Windsor Castle last September. Now it is our tremendous privilege to host you, and you're going to have a wonderful short stay, but stay nevertheless. Then you're going over to Congress, and you're going to make a speech that's going to make everybody very envious of that beautiful accent of yours. Very elegant. He's a very elegant man. Here in the shadows of monuments to George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, honoring the British king might seem an ironic beginning to our celebration of 250 years of American independence, but in fact, no tribute could be more appropriate. Long before Americans had a nation or a constitution, we first had a culture, a character, and a creed. Before we ever proclaimed our independence, Americans carried within us the rarest of gifts, moral courage, and it came from a small but mighty kingdom from across the sea. For nearly 2 centuries before the Revolution, this land was settled and forged by men, women who bore in their souls the blood and noble spirit of the British. Here on a wild and untamed continent, they set loose the ancient English love of liberty and the Great Britain's distinctive sense of glory, destiny, and pride. And that's what it is, glory, destiny, and pride. The American patriots who pledged their lives to independence in 1776 were the heirs to this majestic inheritance. Their veins ran with Anglo-Saxon courage, their hearts beat with an English faith in standing firm for what is right, good, and true. In recent years, we've often heard it said that America is merely an idea, but the cause of freedom did not simply appear as an intellectual invention of 1776. The American founding was the culmination of hundreds of years of thought, struggle, sweat, blood, and sacrifice on both sides of the Atlantic. Fate drew a long arc from the meadow at Runnymede to the streets of Philadelphia that ran through the lives of people born and bred on the British code that no man should be denied either justice or right. American patriots today can sing, "My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty," only because our colonial ancestors first sang, "God save the King." We see today a living symbol of this centuries-old bond, just a few dozen feet to the left where I stand. There, Her late Majesty, Queen Elizabeth, an incredible woman who I had the privilege of getting to know, Queen Elizabeth II, very, very special woman who is very greatly missed on both sides of that mighty Atlantic, long ago planted a young tree. It was a very young and beautiful tree, and look at it now. It's tripled in size and tripled in strength, very much as our nations have even more than tripled. Like our nation itself, it was laid with British hands, but grew in American soil. Today it stands tall and proud, reaching ever higher. And this morning it reminds us that the mightiest of trees, like the greatest of nations, must be anchored by the strongest and deepest of roots. In the centuries since we won our independence, Americans have had no closer friends than the British. We share that same root. We speak the same language. We hold the same values. And together our warriors have defended the same extraordinary civilization under twin banners of red, white, and blue. My wonderful mother, Mary MacLeod, was born in Stornoway, Scotland, the Hebrides, and that's what they call very serious Scotland. There's no question about it. Some places they say, well, it wasn't really Scotland. The Hebrides, that's real serious Scotland. That's where they had their greatest of warriors, the greatest of warriors. She came to America at 19, met my incredible father. We loved him so much. We all loved him. We loved her. We loved him, Fred, and they were married for 63 years. And excuse me, if you don't mind, that's a record we won't be able to match, darling. I'm sorry. Just not going to work out that way. We'll do well. but we're not going to do that well. 63 years. And my mother, I just see it so clearly. She loved, and I told the king this, she loved the royal family, and she loved the queen. And anytime the queen was involved in a ceremony or anything, my mother would be glued to the television, and she'd say, "Look, Donald, look how beautiful that is." She really did love the family. But I also remember her saying very clearly, "Charles, look, young Charles, he's so cute." It's my mother. My mother had a crush on Charles. Can you believe it? Amazing how, I wonder what she's thinking right now. But beneath those beautiful flags, 8 decades ago, Prime Minister Winston Churchill and President Franklin Roosevelt famously met on a ship in the North Atlantic to outline a vision for the free world after World War II. That understanding of our nation's unique bond and role in history is the essence of our special relationship, and we hope it will always remain that way. The ship where the two great leaders met was called the Prince of Wales, the very title that His Majesty the King held longer than any other individual in British history, and he held it with great pride and respect. It's said that when Prime Minister Churchill first met this future king many decades ago, he was so impressed. He made the statement, "He is so young to think so much and so well." And the bust of your great Prime Minister rests proudly again in the Oval Office. We're very proud to bring it back. We brought it back. Throughout His Majesty's life, the world has witnessed that same thoughtfulness which first struck Britain's greatest Prime Minister. His Majesty's intellect, passion, and devotion have been really a blessing to the British people, but not only to his own country, but to the cherished bond between the United States and the United Kingdom. And I am very certain that it will continue that way long into the future. In a few hours, His Majesty will stand in the heart of the United States Capitol as the very first British king ever to address a joint session of the United States Congress. So he's going to be addressing Congress, and I'm going to be watching. I was thinking of going, but they said, I don't know, that might be a step too far. I would love to go. It's not supposed to be protocol, but I would love to be with you. But there, the direct descendant of King George III will speak to the direct successor of the very body that gathered in Independence Hall on July 4th, 1776. If John Adams and George Washington or the King's fifth great-grandfather could see that sight, they might be absolutely shocked, but probably only for a moment. Surely they would be delighted that the wounds of war healed into the most cherished friendship. Think of that very, very long ago difficult war, and yet those wounds did indeed heal into the most cherished of friendships, most cherished. They would be moved beyond words to know that the soldiers who once called each other Redcoats and Yankees became the Tommies and the GIs who together saved the free world as brothers in arms and brothers in eternity, and nobody fought better together than us. If they could see us today, our ancestors would surely be filled with awe and pride that the Anglo-American Revolution in human freedom was never, ever extinguished. but carried forward across centuries, across oceans, and across history until it became a fire that lit the entire world. So today we look back on 250 years. Let us remember what has made our countries the two most exceptional nations the world has ever known. And together, let us go forward with even stronger resolve to carry on our sacred devotion to liberty and to the traditions of excellence that have been our shared gift of all mankind. Your Majesties, thank you once again for making this important visit. We are so honored. May God forever bless the United Kingdom, Great Britain, and Northern Ireland, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise if you are able for the conclusion of the ceremony and departure of the official party.
Mr. President, this concludes today's ceremony.
Your body doesn't need more synthetic fixes. It needs real plant medicine. Wild herbs are packed with minerals, adaptogens, and healing compounds your body actually recognizes and can use, supporting energy, immunity, and balance from the inside out. At Tamarack Garden, our supplements bring these overlooked weeds and wildflowers back into your daily routine. Don't just manage symptoms, support your body and eat your weeds. Head to tamarackgarden.com for $10 off your order of $50 or more when you use code BADLANDS at checkout.
Oh, yeah. I don't know, Vance is right. It looks like Vance is right. Yeah, at the end, or like at the very end of the tape, next to that. Yeah, could be a spot.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, and First Lady Melania Trump, accompanied by their Majesties, King Charles III and Queen Camilla.
Thank you very much. Please. This is a great honor, and we welcome Their Majesties King Charles III and Queen Camilla of the United Kingdom to the White House. Very special place, very, very special. And I also want to, before we really begin, I want to congratulate Charles on having made a fantastic speech today at Congress. He got the Democrats to stand. I've never been able to do that. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. They liked him more than they've ever liked any Republican or Democrat, actually. So I just want to thank you and congratulations. It's not an easy thing to do. That's a tough place. It's a true privilege to have you here for this historic state visit. Last fall, Melania and I had the pleasure of visiting Their Majesties at Windsor Castle, a structure that's so beautiful and so long that it never seemed to end. I looked down as a former real estate person, and it just went on forever. And it was built by a gentleman named William the Conqueror in the year 1070. And I asked the king, I said, was he a nice man, William the Conqueror? He said, I tend to doubt it. I don't think so. When they call you William the Conqueror, generally speaking, you're not going to be too nice, but he must have been something because it was nothing like I've ever seen Windsor Castle. But tonight in return, we are really doing something that's very special, preparing to celebrate the 250th anniversary of our declaration of big time in our country, very big time. And it's only natural that Americans begin this commemoration by paying tribute to the transcendent bond we share with the nation that Thomas Jefferson himself called our mother country. He used to go around saying, that's our mother country, how nice. From English towns and Scottish hills, from Welsh mountains and Irish villages, a people unique in history sailed across the mighty Atlantic to settle and civilize this continent in the name of God, King, and country. So beautiful. They called it New England and meant that very, very literally. The first Americans saw themselves as free men carrying the forward and central liberties and ancient rights of the Anglo-Saxons into this new and beautiful world. In the eyes of America's founders, our war of independence was fought not to reject this heritage, but to reclaim it and perfect it. As the founding father, George Mason, wrote, we claim nothing but the liberty and privileges of Englishmen in the same degree as we had still continued among our brethren when we were in Great Britain. The Declaration of Independence was a miracle for the ages that sparked a far-reaching revolution in self-government and human freedom. But even though the political bonds between the United States and Great Britain were dissolved forever, they thought, on July 4th, 1776, the more powerful strands of memory, culture, and identity proved unbreakable in any conflict and grew into a friendship unlike any other on earth, a very, very special and incredible friendship. Historians have noted that to this day, the distinct regions of the United States still echo with the particular accents, habits, and traditions of the British communities that first settled them centuries ago. The names of half of the original American states refer to members of the British royal family, as do American cities from Charleston to Annapolis, Charlotte to Albany, and even the place where I grew up and actually loved very much, Queens, New York. Who would have thought? But far beyond names and principles, there's something unique and very special that has always united our two people, a certain nobility of spirit and heroic soul. The same audacity that called a small island kingdom to rule the seven seas, and rule them you did, inspired the children of 13 American colonies to explore a great frontier and a very, very dangerous frontier and settle what was known as the Wild, Wild West. The men who planted the American flag on the moon carried them the same hunger for adventure and achievement as those who raised the Union Jack above Antarctica and first sailed St. George's Cross all around the globe. The American soldiers who crossed the Atlantic to freedom, rescue in 1944 were moved by the same keen sense of righteousness that drove the English Crusaders to the Holy Land 1,000 years ago. The entire world has been uplifted by this distinct and special character we share, this unstoppable daring, this unconquerable courage. It really is. It's unconquerable. And speaking of that, where's Rory McIlroy? Can stand up, Rory, will you please? That was unconquerable courage. That was very good, Rory. I don't know if that helps them talk about how wonderful the speech, but I had to interrupt my speech because I watched that man win a tournament. That was a tough one. Congratulations. Very proud of you. All right, now I'll get back to my speech, Rory, okay? But it was unconquerable courage, this inexhaustible supply of ambition, ingenuity, and resolve. From the trenches of World War I to the beaches of Normandy, from the frozen hills of Korea to the scorching sands of North Africa and the Middle East. And we're doing a little Middle East work right now, two of you might know, and we're doing very well. We have militarily defeated that particular opponent, and we're never going to let that opponent ever, Charles agrees with me, even more than I do, we're never going to let that opponent have a nuclear weapon. They know that, and they've known it right now very powerfully. But our countries have stood together, defiant and triumphant against the forces of communism, fascism, and tyranny. Together we have expanded the reaches of human knowledge and endeavored always to make this world safer, more prosperous, more just, and more free. Ours is a treasured friendship, an eternal bond, and a true story of extraordinary heroism and skill. A lot of skill, tremendous skill. History has known no more powerful force than the combination of American patriotism and British pride. The British Empire that began here in America certainly did not end here. The sons and daughters of the British Isles went on to found more countries and spread more civilization than any nation before. They built an English-speaking world upon which the sun never sets and provided an example to which free people will always turn, that always turn. They have such love and such respect. Today, most of Britain's former colonies have no idea what they truly owe to this towering legacy of law, liberty, and British custom that they were given. We were given that, and it was a great, great gift. Tonight, on the eve of our 250th year of cherished independence, we turn to the sovereign embodiment of our British heritage and say sincerely thank you to our friends, the United Kingdom, for the richest inheritance that any nation has ever given to another. May our two countries stand together forever for liberty, for justice, and for the glory of God. Ladies and gentlemen, I offer a toast to 250 years of American freedom, and very importantly, to a great man, His Majesty, King Charles III. Thank you very much. Mr. President, First Lady, my wife and I are most grateful to you for your generous hospitality as the United States celebrates this very special anniversary year of the Declaration of Independence. And may I also just start by paying tribute to your own courage and steadfastness, as well as to your security services, for their swift actions on Saturday evening in preventing further injury. My thoughts... My thoughts and sympathies are very much with you, the First Lady, and all those guests for whom this must have been a very upsetting incident. As the words of that famous anthem remind us, this is the land of the free and home of the brave, as your own response demonstrates. What used to be called in the last war in the United Kingdom, keep calm and carry on. I now realize, ladies and gentlemen, to my amazement, that my first visit to this remarkable country was over 50 years ago. And, Mr. President, the golden threads of history and heritage between our lands are also embodied, as you mentioned earlier today, in your own family and your own family story, whose roots trace back to the beautiful landscapes of Britain's Outer Hebrides and continue, as we know, in the great golf courses of the Highlands. I can only imagine the immense pride with which your own dear mother, indeed both your parents, must be looking down on the great office to which you have been elected for a historic second term. And if I may say so, it is a particular pleasure to be back in this wonderful building, the heart of your democracy. On this occasion, I cannot help noticing the readjustments to the East Wing, Mr. President, following your visit to Windsor Castle last year. And I'm sorry to say that we British, of course, made our own small attempt at real estate redevelopment of the White House in 1814. Anyway, I'm so glad we have an important opportunity at this critical time to renew those bonds of history and friendship between our nations and our peoples. 2.5 centuries ago, the United States of America was founded through an audacious and visionary act of self-determination. From the beginning, the American character has been defined by courage, tenacity, and the spirit of adventure. As the direct descendant of King George III, I know this is a nation that never gives up. And my family's history remains reflected in your maps, which read rather like our Christmas card list across the ages. North and South Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, and the cities of Charleston, a particular favorite of mine, obviously, Georgetown, and for that matter, Georgia, Annapolis, as you mentioned, and further favorites, Prince William County and Williamsburg. This said, our French friends can feel equally at home with a glance at a map. Indeed, you recently commented, Mr. President, that if it were not for the United States, European countries would be speaking German. Dare I say that if it wasn't for us, you'd be speaking French. Of course, we both love our French cousins greatly, and we three estates are not only bound by our shared values, but by a profound belief that together we are more than the sum of our parts. Out of the fires of a bitter and bloody Revolutionary War, the triumph of the father of this country, George Washington, and his fellow founders, was to forge a democracy founded upon the rights to liberty and the rule of law. The story of Britain and America is one of reconciliation, from adversaries to the closest of allies, not always perhaps following the straightest path. As you said yourself, Mr. President, during your own state visit at Windsor Castle last year, ours is an unbreakable bond of history and heritage, culture and commerce, industry and invention, and we are determined to face the future together. Tonight, we are here to renew an indispensable alliance which has long been a cornerstone of prosperity and security for both British and American citizens. Our people have fought and fallen together in defense of the values we cherish. Across the ocean and from coast to coast, we have traded, innovated, and created together. We've stood together through the best and worst of times. However, the challenges we now face, from those who wish us harm across the world to balancing the risks and opportunities of powerful new technologies, to the threats to the very international rules that have allowed us to trade and have kept power in balance for 80 years, those challenges encourage us to reaffirm tonight the basis on which our partnership has been built. And yes, we have had our moments of difficulty, even in more recent history. When my mother visited in 1957, not the least of her tasks was to help put the special back into our relationship after a crisis in the Middle East. Nearly 70 years on, it is hard to imagine anything like that happening today. But it is not hard to see how important the relationship remains in matters both seen and unseen. My mother's first Prime Minister, Sir Winston Churchill, understood this so well. But then he himself was half American, a tradition of shared transatlantic heritage, which I am pleased to say is alive and well in the White House today. Indeed, such was the closeness that Sir Winston, while staying here in the White House, in those rooms you showed us upstairs, emerged naked from the bathtub to discover the door opening as President Roosevelt came in for a chat. With rapier wit, the president cast aside any embarrassment by declaring that the Prime Minister has nothing to conceal from the President of the United States. This warmth came after testing times between our leaders in the early 1940s. The kinship and friendship of many centuries provided great reassurance to my late grandfather, King George VI, as it did to my late mother. It means every bit as much to me. Of course, my late mother met no fewer than 13 serving presidents, thankfully all of them fully clothed. The first president I had the honor of meeting at the age of 10 in 1959 when he came to Balmoral was President Eisenhower, who had served as Supreme Commander of the Allied Expeditionary Forces during World War II at a most critical time in the darkest days of the 20th century. American leadership helped rebuild a shattered continent, playing a decisive role as a defender of freedom in Europe. We and I shall never forget that, not least as freedom is again under attack following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Today, our partnerships in NATO and AUKUS deepen our technological and military cooperation and ensure that together we can meet the challenges of an increasingly complex and contested world. And speaking of submarine alliances, there was one particular AUKUS predecessor launched from a UK shipyard in 1944 that served for the majority of her life attached to the 4th Submarine Squadron in Australia, playing a critical role during the war in the Pacific. Her name? HMS Trump. So tonight, Mr. President, I am delighted to present to you as a personal gift the original bell which hung on the conning tower of your valiant namesake. May may it stand as a testimony to our nation's shared history and shining future. And should you ever need to get hold of us, or just give us a ring. For 250 years, the ingenuity and imagination of the people of the United States have been an inspiration to the world. This land of opportunity has nourished some of humanity's greatest minds, from the industrial age to the space age. So many miracles of the modern world have been and still are invented in America. Indeed, we have followed the voyage of Artemis II, or Artemis II, as my family and I might like to call her, with close attention. Now, I know you have big plans for the moon, Mr. President, but I've actually checked the papers, and I rather suspect it is already part of the Commonwealth, I'm afraid. Ladies and gentlemen, on this week's visit, I look forward to meeting the people and communities of this dynamic country, including celebrating some of the work of my King's Trust, which it has been doing in these communities, helping give young people a chance to succeed across America in this year when we mark 50 years of the Trust. Can you believe it? Every year, millions of Britons journey to this remarkable country to experience its glorious national parks, soaring mountains, and ancient forests. From the peaks of the Pacific Northwest to the rugged shores of the Atlantic, from the vast expanses of the West to the sweeping prairies and canyons, the natural beauty of this land is found in every corner. And in sport, in just a few weeks, the United States and Canada will be among those to welcome the world as hosts of the FIFA World Cup. So in one sense, Mr. President, as heads of state, we are joint hosts. We call this game, by the way, football, Mr. President. And I can only say, as the head of state of 5 competing countries, I will be watching the matches closely and with great enthusiasm. After all, we always like favorable odds. So this city, Washington, D.C., is the home of more Shakespeare folios than anywhere in the world. 82 copies are carefully preserved and shared at the Folger Library. And at this time, when the search for peace in the world is more critical than ever, I can only turn to Shakespeare's genius to remind us of the plea for peace spoken by the Duke of Burgundy at the conclusion of Henry V. My speech entreats that I may know why gentle peace should not bless us with her former qualities. Thank you, Mr. President and Mrs. Trump, for your splendid dinner this evening, which, may I say, is a very considerable improvement on the Boston Tea Party. So, whether your cup contains tea, wine, Scotch whiskey, bourbon, or even cola, let us raise our glasses and voices as we toast the past, the present, and the future, thank you, of our 2 proud and allied nations. To the United States and the United Kingdom, God bless both our countries.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
As you've done. Great job. That's so beautiful. That's good.
Thank you so much for joining us, and don't forget to hit the thumbs up on this video. And a special thank you to all of our advertising partners. Please remember to shift your dollars to support those businesses that support Badlands Media.